Hello and welcome back to the Easy Odds Premier League videocast. We've got an amazing set of games this weekend.
Super Sunday.
Super Sunday, in the truest sense of the phrase. We've got two massive derbies, probably the biggest derbies in the country, and then two really high-class games with been some good opposition. So we're going for Arsenal versus Everton at first. Arsenal, unbelievably important win midweek. Huge, unbelievable. Like, can't believe they did it, in fact. 2-0, unbelievable. And Everton, kind of hit and miss this season. Pretty poor last time.
Yeah, absolutely. You kind of summed it up, really. Do I need to go on? But what I will say about this match is that Arsenal now actually do have a bit of a fear factor about them, and I can't really think of the last time that Arsenal had that about them.
Yeah.
3 clean sheets in a row, 16 goals scored in the last 6 games. In that sequence, it's only really the Olympiacos, which is any kind of blot on their diary there, and I think that the only possible best bet for me here is actually going with it in the handicap and backing Arsenal -1. 11-10 is the best price there. I absolutely loved how Arsene Wenger, straight away after the Munich game, didn't rest on his laurels. He basically said almost straight away, now our attention moves on to Everton, and I really like that, because in the past they have taken teams lightly in these situations, and he even alluded to the fact that they possibly did take Olympiacos and Zagreb pretty lightly, and that ended up in 2 losses. So I think that they're going to attack this match just as they were up against Bayern Munich, even though obviously Everton are not quite Bayern Munich standard. So I think
Stephen Naismith.
Well, Stephen Naismith is pretty good.
Lewandowski, you decide.
Also, Everton historically are just terrible in this fixture. They've never won at the Emirates Stadium. The last time that they won at Arsenal was 1996. When Andrei Kanchelskis scored the winner. So that's as far back as Everton need to go to get a win at Arsenal, and I just think that they haven't got the quality to match Arsenal's current run of form. Ramsey is out, but Everton, as you alluded to earlier, were just awful on the weekend, really set aside by a Man United side that are hit and miss themselves this season, so that was a poor performance. And heading into this game at the Emirates, where there is a fear factor and the goals are flying in and they're keeping the goals out at the other end, I think -1 handicap at 11-10 is a decent bet.
Nice, good bet, definitely. I think Arsenal, they are quite hit and miss as well, but they were really good against Munich. But they seem to always play well against Bayern Munich, for some reason. But okay, now we're going first of the derbies. A huge Tyneside derby between two teams at the bottom of the league. Newcastle were pretty good last time out, but against not that good opposition, but they were good. And Sunderland, they haven't been amazing, but what do you reckon?
Yeah, so how I see this game going, basically, Big Sam has been appointed with one major reason, and that is to keep Sunderland in the league. He's a man of simple tastes. Even at West Ham, with a pretty incredible squad there last season, they managed to play pretty poor football, really. So I think that he'll set his team out defensively sound. They almost managed to get a clean sheet last week at West Brom. I think they were dealt a pretty harsh hand with that goal from Berahino. I'm pretty certain that it was a foul. It was kicked out of the hands of Pantilimon. But despite Newcastle's absolutely awful away record, where they've only scored 3 goals in the last away game, only 3 goals in the last 11 away games, which is just pretty poor. I actually fancy them to score first here at 57-50, even though Sunderland have a new manager and he's particularly focused on the defence. I think in a derby situation where the fans will be demanding attacking football up against Newcastle, that will go out the window a little bit. And against a side that have scored 7 goals in their last 2 games, I think Newcastle are a pretty decent price there to score first at 57-50. And also Sunderland have conceded first in 8 of their last 11 league games, so I think that's a pretty decent bet. And of course they have Wijnaldum in absolutely amazing form from last week with his 4 goals. I had him in my fantasy team. Thank you, Wijnaldum. You saved me from a poor week. But also a small highlight here is Mitrovic, a player who can go either way. As we've seen this season, he can either be pretty brilliant up front, or he can get sent off.
Yep.
And in a derby situation,
those
two will be highlighted. But he is available at 11-5 to score in this game, and I think that's a pretty decent bet as well.
Yeah. He's going to have to. Big Sam he's in big trouble down there, isn't he?
I actually think they've been dealt a harsh hand. They're actually odds on 1-3 to be relegated, and I think that's a bit harsh. I'd actually take the to stay up bet on at 7-4.
Well, Big Sam, you could do it
with a Big Sam.
Villa, they're down.
There's a few teams down the bottom there that could easily be caught, and Sunderland have shown in the past that they seem to always survive in these situations. So 7-4, I think, is a pretty decent bet there. But I can see why they are odds on at the moment. But they're the only team odds on out of all the teams in the Premier League, and there's some equally poor teams
Villa
in that league. Aston Villa.
I'm not a fan
Jake
of
doesn't like Aston Villa,
and they are going to go down. Right, now we're going to the second derby, right at the top of the table this time, between Manchester United and Manchester City. Needs no introduction. What do you reckon?
I actually think that the biggest point here is the fact that Man United have had to do a long haul flight to Moscow and back in midweek, and a tough match against Moscow.
He's already complaining about that, isn't he?
And I think that will play a huge part in this game. Yes, Man City are without two key players in David Silva and Sergio Aguero, but they've got such a good squad that they don't really miss them, even with Wilfred Bonny up front. So why am I backing Man City to draw no bet at a best price of evens? Well, it's simple as this. They've only lost one away from home, and the rest they've won. So they've won 5 of their last 6 away matches. Man United are unbeaten at home, and they do seem to have a bit of an aura about Old Trafford again, but I don't think these Man City players will be awed by that. A lot of these players have played in the match where they absolutely stuffed them a few years back.
That's great.
That was pretty good. I think for this game, Man City are actually better value here, and in the draw no bet market where you get your stake returned for a draw, I think that's the way to go rather than backing a Man United win at around about 11-10. I think that's a better value there. Man City have got a pretty shaky back line at the moment. They struggle to keep clean sheets, but they are just outscoring teams. Man United do have a decent defence at the moment, but I think with the likes of De Bruyne and Yaya Toure pushed further forward, they're going to be able to hit Man United on the break, and I do think that either a draw or Man City at evens with the money back for a draw is the best bet there.
That's a really good bet. I think I'm pretty sure City are going to win. Like, De Bruyne is absolutely class.
Pretty good.
He is.
We were saying earlier that
class.
he's pretty clinical and he's pretty calm. Very lacking in charisma, but who cares about that?
He seems to float around, little ginger guy, just going left, right, and centre. Anyway, another high quality game next to end us up on the Sunday. It's Sunday or Monday? Is it?
It's Sunday.
Sunday, yeah. Liverpool versus Southampton. I mean, Southampton have had a pretty good season so far. And Liverpool, obviously, can he do it? The Kloppy, as I like to call him. Can he do it? But he hasn't really proved it so far. They were awful midweek yesterday, actually, last night in the Europa.
In the Europa League, yeah.
What do you reckon?
I think that Southampton here are fantastic value. 14-5 to win the game. They've only lost 1 of their last 7 away league games. Liverpool, on the other hand, are in a dreadful run. They've only won 1 of their last 11 matches. The self-confidence of the team is drained. Injuries are catching up on them. And Klopp's pressing play will absolutely suit Southampton down to the ground because they have players who can play quick, incisive football, even under pressure with the likes of Mane, Tadic, Pella. They're all very good players, and in a very similar situation, they went to Chelsea a few weeks ago, where Chelsea were struggling with self-confidence, and they managed to beat them 3-1, and I can see them doing exactly the same thing at Anfield. I think that Liverpool to win at 11-10 is mad for a team that have only won 1 in the last 11.
Yeah.
Sturridge is so key to this side, and I'm not sure that he'll be back fit for this game.
No, he isn't.
So so it's hard to back Liverpool, but 14-5 on a Southampton winner there is fantastic value in my opinion.
That's really good, really, really good value. So yeah.
That's our tips for the weekend, and make sure that you visit the site for not only my Premier League tips but also Jake's horse racing tips, Angus's horse racing tips, Andy Newton's horse racing tips, Jeff Backrack's NFL tips,
he's doing great,
David August's golf tips, and you can put them all into an ACCA on our app which you can download, and we'll put the link in the video link below. So thanks very much for watching.
Football League tips, don't forget that.
Football League tips, of course, me and Jake have gone for 5 each this weekend, so stick a 10 fold Aka on others, I'd say, and that's and that'll see you out for the rest of the year. So all the best with your punting this weekend, and thanks for watching. I've been Ross Casey, and this has been
Jay Johns.
Cheers, guys.